Tell me about the lead up to the moment. What I mean, you weren't meant to be the guy that kicks this goal, right? This wasn't meant to be Dom Sheed.
Am I going to tell my story, then you're going to tell your story?
You can do whatever you like, mate. You can do whatever you like. No, people on this podcast have heard my story.
Have they?
People know that I'm responsible for winning the 2018 Grand Final. Yes.
Like, the amount of times that story's been told is
We've done a couple of pub tours, Dom and I, so I have heard. I have to pretty much. Dom tells everyone about how he wins the Grand Final and he's kicked the goal and blah blah blah, and then I always come after Sheeder and just trump him, and the poor bloke doesn't have a microphone at this stage, and so
I can't say anything.
Yeah, Sheedy, you've heard about Sheedy kicking the goal. Well, I'll tell you right now, it doesn't happen without Will Schofield running down the middle of the ground in the MCG. But I would like to hear it. People on the podcast have heard me speak about this multiple times. They haven't heard Dom Sheedy.
Times. Maybe more times than the cricket.
How does that happen?
Can we get another soda water? When you get it,
bro. Just on a side note, every time we do those shows now, I always make sure there's a second mic so that when Scully gets it, I've still got one as well. So, but I like to give him his moment.
I'll ask a question then. Where do you remember where you were when the first mark in the chain happened?
My man Treloar, and I'm sure people have heard this a lot, but for the ones that haven't, my man Treloar was the one that kicked the ball into Jeremy McGovern, who marked it, and by then, I knew there was 2 minutes to go. Before
then, you were meant to be off the ground at this stage.
Yeah, I was called off to the bench. Simo, I think, wanted the runner came out.
They wanted the good. Well,
the runner came out to me and said, Dom, it's your turn to go to the bench. And I've obviously 3 minutes going to grand final. I've politely declined to come to the bench, and I've decided to just.
Do you remember making that decision? Do you remember?
Yeah,
I
ran to the forward line. So I've gone, there's 3 minutes to go. I'm a midfielder. I'm going to go create an outnumber in the forward line, which is a complete opposite way that the ball's actually going. So I'm just this seventh forward sitting in the forward line, and my man Treloar kicks it into Gov. And I remember thinking we needed to win 2 contests before the ball got to me. So Gov's obviously kicked it to Vards. He's wheeled around, kicked it to Flying. I couldn't believe how quickly the ball come in my hands when Flying got up and turned around, and I was all on my own. Everyone was thinking, how's he on his own in the forward line like that? But that's because I'd been sitting there for like 30 seconds on my own, just waiting for something like that play to happen, to create an opportunity, because we're so late left in a game and you need to win it. You do something that you don't usually do. So Scully's done what he's done, and you just
won the game for the boys.
You've got to ask questions of the opposition. You can't just keep playing normally. You've got to be a winger and run forward.
Because you know how long there is left in the court. You know it's
under
late in the
5
game,
minutes.
and we're down by under a goal. So it's like, what am I going to go and run around like a normal?
Either lose or you throw something out.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly. would rather lose by 4 goals having a crack. At least actually trying, rather than not try anything. And I was very fortunate that it just come my way so quickly. It would have been the quickest transitional play of the day, from 150 to another 50. I've marked it, and I've people reckon I played on, and
you did.
I was blocked. So there you go.
Hang on. So you're forward of the play. I'll take it over. You're forward of the play. Scully comes to the middle of the ground. I reckon I'll probably tag you up a little bit and say, hey, Sheeto, you just keep going, mate, because I've tried to win the game. Hasn't worked out.
Thanks,
thank you, mate.
Thanks, bro.
We're good. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
Very good. Now,
Legend.
As I'm working my way back, man Treloar does get the ball and he kicks it into the forward line. The only reason Jeremy McGovern is there for the moment is because I'm not on my man. I just want to make that clear. These guys, they certainly haven't made any money out of it, but there's been the moment. They've coined the moment, right? McGovern, to Vardy, to Ryan, to Sheed. It needs to be fucking Schofield running down in the middle of the ground, sets all this up, regardless. McGovern gets it.
You say setting it up, but aren't you causing people to fill in for your mistake of leaving?
That's called. You know what that's called, Dan? Teamwork. Understand?
You were so confident in the team.
Well, who do you think covers everyone else's man when McGovern for 95% of the game is doing whatever the fuck he wants? Me.
I've covered your man the whole year.
Yeah, my whole life. Yeah, correct. My whole life. And the only time I don't cover, he gets in the moment. It could have been Scully. It actually could have been. Anyway, that happens. Sheeter's forward of the ball. So he's talking about the contests that have to be win. When you're that far in front of the footy, you can't call for it. Like that, you need people to do their role. Like when I was in the middle of the G, going to win the game, I need Jack Darling or Liam Ryan to win that contest. When they don't do it, I look stupid. When they do it, Vardy or McGovern to Vardy to Ryan, he looks like a genius. And you're sitting there, and so Ryan takes that spectacular mark. What are you thinking? You're by yourself. You don't have an opponent.
I was telling him to hurry up and get up because he landed on the ground. I was like, I don't
Just
want
take a
this
hanger.
to get. I don't want. Yeah, but land on your feet, mate. Come on, I've seen you do it numerous times before. Unbelievable mark. But yeah, I was waiting for him to get to his feet because I didn't want me to get chewed up and get manned up, which was never going to happen because the ball just moved so quickly.
So he plays on.
Well, the only reason I slightly had in my mind to play on was
He plays on, kicks it to you.
Kicks it to me. And
then
people
you
are
saw
going,
it play
I've
on.
played on. But
Did you
the
play
reason I took one step was
Did you play
because
on?
I just knew that it was a 2v1. So I
Did
was
you
like,
play on?
I don't think so. We're so late to go in a grand final,
No.
you put your whistle away. You put your whistle away.
So did you play on?
No.
Did you? But
No.
you were in your head. Were you like, I'm going to run forward? Because you sort of take a step, but you didn't get called.
I very quickly realised I was going to get tackled and wasn't on. But because there was a 2v1, it was me and Willie versus Maynard. I thought, well,
If that was round 12, and the score is 45 points in front by West Coast, is that play on or not?
I still don't. I don't think it is, mate. I think the umpires come out and said they made that was the right decision.
Good.
So,
well, there you go. That's all we can take.
want. So,
So no play on. What about? There's also a lot of debate about Willie Rioli. Was it a shepherd?
No. You tell me.
I actually don't. I
Yeah.
turn this up a little bit when we do this, maybe in a live show, but I actually don't think it was. For instance, if you hadn't have been there, he would have been able to reach the ball. So that can't be it. And I know he didn't because you were there.
Yeah.
It's the same in the back line when you block out. I'm used to blocking my man out for McGovern or Barras.
How's it any different?
Like, if they're not there, maybe I get a spoil on it or mark it, but they mark it in front of me. It's no different.
I think once again the umpires came out and said that was the right decision. I think just because of the moment in the season that these little things are just
amplified.
Amplified.
Yeah.
So
You'd rather them not make a call, really, honestly.
put your whistle away. Yeah, absolutely. And
Today, I actually watched this really shoddily foot iPhone video of this Collingwood supporter watching that last minute. It's on YouTube and it's good. And
Can you please speak into your microphone?
and he doesn't respond at all. He sees it and he's just pissed that you might, and he's not calling for anything else. And he's he's literally half a meter away from the screen.
Yeah.
So I mean, whatever.
So you take the mark, you play on, you've got shepherded, and then okay, so you go back and take your kick.
Yeah. Well, firstly, it's a snap or a drop punt.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and I'm not a great snapper of the footy. I usually belly them and they land in the middle of the ground. So I never ever kick snaps if I don't.
Something you need to practice as well. Josh Kennedy,
yes,
practices all the time. That's why he snaps all the time.
Very good at it. So I decided to kick a drop punt, and Scully's set up the defensive zone already.
Oh yeah,
so
you're missing
that's all set up.
You're missing. Well, everyone else had missed. That's why I set it up. Maston missed. Ryan missed. We missed about 5 in a row.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, well, I've got a little bit of a free hit here, right? And the reason I say that is because nobody expects me to kick it. So as much as it's a high pressure situation and environment, no one expects you to kick it.
At the same time, no one expects you to pass it off. So you have to take the shot.
I couldn't pass it, so I had to take the shot. If I'm 30 metres straight in front, you are expected to kick it. So the pressure goes up. Whereas this one, there wasn't as much pressure in a sense in my mind because it's a free hit. So I just thought just hit the ball as well as you can and keep everything nice and straight and give it an opportunity.
Someone on social media mentioned that they had a tour on the MCG not long after the grand final and they let them have a shot at goal from around
there you
go. And they said it was really windy and it wasn't windy wherever else they were, but in that pocket it felt really swirly. Do you remember thinking about the wind?
Nah, I think we had copped a pretty good day. There wasn't much wind, especially that time of the day. And you look at the kick, it doesn't drift or anything like that, but the whole idea was to keep it as straight as you can, yeah. But there wasn't windy in that pocket on the day from memory. But yeah, I mean, there was a
Do
heap
you have a straight kick, a set shot? If you had to take all your set shots over your career, is it straight or is it a hook? I mean, you're left footer.
I mean, I run around a little bit, right? You take that few steps around. That's just what left footers do. Yes. So I was very fortunate that it was on the right pocket. And also with the pocket is we used to train at Subiaco Oval, and then Subiaco Oval would train there in our facility. So when we run out our race, that pocket that you're sitting in Subiaco Oval is the same angle as the G. So before you go out and train, the footy bags would sit there. You'd have 10 shots from that pocket, putting on bets for coffees and lunches and, whatever it is in that pocket before training, before you warmed up. You'd go train, you'd come back in, and before you go into your race, you'd have another 10 shots.
It would always end in that shot too.
Yeah.
That was the last shot.
Is always nice and straight. And so we would have had, like, everyone in our team would have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shots from that pocket without even knowing. And then on grand final day, it happened to be the last goal. So, but yeah, if that had anything to do with it, I'm not too sure. But you can't really train for that moment. You can't practice kicking a goal in front of 100,000 people. You just can't practice to do that. So. The fact I hit it well, I think it was a bit of luck if I kicked that. How many times did I kick that out of 10? Probably
more than 5. I'd say 6.
Yeah, but I mean, it wouldn't be.
What would you say?
You're not going 8 or 9.
Would you say,
mate?
7?
I'd say it'd be 5, half maybe.
It's pretty good.
Do you owe a little bit to Jack Darling, do you think? I mean, you've had a lot of fame and a lot of, a lot of opportunities because of this kick that you've had. And without Jack Darling, I will explain this. Jack Darling, marking the goal square, puts it down. He kicks that goal, we win by 11 points or 10 points.
So he has a completely open mark, no one around him, no pressure whatsoever, and he drops it.
He does. And so he marks that.
He fumbles it, and then it goes for a point, right?
Yeah, it goes for a point. If he kicks that goal, we win by 10 points. Dom Sheed doesn't kick the goal to win the grand final, and it's just a good win to West Coast. So have you thanked Jack Darling?
I'm probably the only one who post-grand final bought him a beer, I reckon. Because I had a lot coming my way. I couldn't hold all the beers. I had to give them off, because
we're going to get to that. So you've thanked Jack.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. I think he actually come up and said
that
you should
blocking for you. And
yeah, I've thanked everyone
Brett Rosebery.
around me. I've thanked Scully.
Brett Rosebery.
Now, I feel, just before you go on, I feel guilty because everyone talks about that last kick of the grand final, but like people don't realise we start pre-season in November. There's a lot to make a footy club click and get to that point. So to say that won the game, I think is not fair because there's so much work and the staff and admin, everyone to get to that point.
This sounds like media training.
But it's just like I do feel guilty. There's so much work, as you know, that goes into.
Well, mate, I've also got some questions to ask about that. But just the kick final one. We spoke to Tom Hawkins, who's kicked goals after the siren. He's won games after the siren, and he spoke about the noise of the crowd.
Yeah.
Do you remember the noise? Like
dead silent. Dead. The noise. It was almost eerie because, the whole game you'd heard cheers and you'd heard, everything the whole game. And then I marked it. I almost think everyone sort of almost held their breath like, what's going to happen? So it wasn't, to me, it wasn't noisy. The only thing I could hear so clearly was the Collingwood fans over my back right shoulder, which were like 20 of them about a metre away from me. They were just saying horrible things, like, just things you don't want to, you just don't, it's just PG rated, this show, obviously.
No, it's not actually. We can swear, you can do what you want.
Just spraying me, saying I'm no good, and, obviously
receding hairline
putting a bit of mayo on everything. So that's the only thing I could hear very clearly. Other than that, it was silent. Yeah.
What about when it goes through? What's the sound?
The whole crowd, yeah. The whole crowd.
What is it? What's the sound like?
Mate, it's just like this. It's obviously like this roar. You can't actually hear anything. You just all of a sudden are just like you're just like deaf instantly because of like how loud it is. I was shocked at how loud our fans were on grand final day. They were as loud as the Collingwood fans, and I reckon we're outnumbered 60-40. their
at
way
least.
in terms of
Like,
fans.
that's probably maximum.
That's generous,
Like,
I
it
reckon.
could have been 70-30.
70-30 or something. I was very surprised at how loud they were.
Is that why when you kick it, you turn around in the crowd? Because you say like you could hear them.
The jeering.
Do you
I
think
think
like subconsciously you're like, yes, take
maybe
that, boys.
subconsciously, but I think the adrenaline in the moment sort of just got the better of me. And I'm not usually celebrate. I don't usually celebrate goals. I usually move on. But that moment with all the emotions and everything, just
no big deal.
I just got the better of me. Yeah,
Just to go ahead in the grand final. Might just celebrate this one. Now, have you thought about what your life, your career, your persona, Dom SHEED would be if you missed that goal and we lose the grand final? Does that ever cross your mind?
Completely different. Completely different. Yep. Yeah. I think doing that, it gave me a lot of opportunities to do other things, and I think above all, I think it gave me a lot of confidence in what I did going forward, whether it was football or off field or just talking to people. It just gave me more confidence for some reason.
Well, you were in and out of the team, so you came into that final series without confidence. Really, you would have been doubting yourself what you were doing. Exactly,
and it's amazing how like one moment can change a lot of your life. If I was sitting here, without a premiership now, it's a completely...
We'd still be interviewing you.
But would you?
Oh, absolutely, I would be.
We'll be saying you should have played on. You should have played on. You should have ran forward.
Yeah. No, but it was a great moment that I think right place at the right time, one of those things, eh?
I was sort of thinking about, like, I know you've been, like, everyone wants to talk about that, and so that was one question I thought maybe you don't get that much, is like, what happens if you miss?
Yeah.
But like another one, I was watching the game and I see you kick the goal and you celebrate. They say you don't celebrate. You were in the last centre bounce. It was yourself, Willie Rioli.
Yep.
And Elliot Yeo?
Elliot Yeo, maybe.
Or Shuey? No, Shuey.
But
So what happens is, right, I've watched it.
Doesn't Yeo kick it forward straight off?
Nah, that's at the end of the game. So in this stoppage, it was kind of a bit of a ragtag bunch in there because remember, he's meant to be off the ground. So
I didn't go off, obviously.
Did you end up, you didn't go off at all?
I didn't go off. I think the moment got the better of me. I forgot.
So he's kicked the goal. Before that goal, get off. And that means get off. And then if in a normal game, if you have a shot at goal and you kick it, get off.
Yeah.
So he still hasn't gone off. I've seen the footage. Vardy's in the ruck.
Yeah.
And you're late to get to the centre bounce. You're late. You may have still been in the crowd.
Still celebrating.
Maybe just get your focus back in. There's a minute to go in the grand final. And you are absolutely tonguing it. You know when you have a wrestle with a mate and you do something that you're not used to? Like playing footy it's an elite environment. It's a hard thing. It's a physical game. It's a contest. But you don't expect to celebrate and have that adrenaline rush. So I've seen the footage and Sheeda can't even speak. He can't breathe. He's so late getting there that he eventually Sheeda gets this big Yeti walk when he gets tired. He does this he gets all sloppy.
The hunchback.
Hunchback, sloppy, knees, no knee lift. He doesn't look like an athlete. He comes strolling into this centre bounce, the most important centre bounce of his career. And the boys have been there clearly for 20 or 30 seconds. And Sheeda just walks in and goes, hey, where are we hitting it? And then just walks to the back of the stoppage. Absolutely irrelevant. Were you gassed after that celebration?
I was absolutely gassed. But this is the thing. We had such a clear plan with Vardy's ruck work that year that it was like you didn't even need to talk to him to know where it was going and what your role was in that centre bounce. So, you're up by a couple points, a minute to go. We go to a defensive triangle setup in the centre bounce. That's just what we do. Don't let them come out the front. If they're going to win it, we can pressure them. They go wide. That's what the backs want. So before I even went into that centre bounce, I was running in. It's defensive triangle, and everyone knows that. We know what Vardy's going to do. He's going to hit at the same side as Grundy.
If you're talking about reviews and feedback, this is what we're reviewing. With a minute and a half to go in the last game of the season, win or loss, do you remember everything we've worked on the entire season with defensive triangle? Is the midfielders in the right spot? Are the wingers at the back of the square where they're meant to be? Are the half forwards in the right position? Is the back line set up in the correct way? Have we communicated with the forward line that there's a forward coming to the wing and the winger's going back and we're going to have 7 men because there's a minute to go and we're in front by under a goal and we're going to red time?
Yeah.
That's what a review's about.
Yep.
And if you don't do that, It's like, well, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we even playing? Like, why have we done this? Why have we put all the work in? Yes, we've won the premiership, but if you don't review it and say, hey, well done. And on reflection, I think we actually nailed it. I think we did well.
We won that clearance, yes.
We did.
Yeah.
Josh Kennedy.
That's the same player
Josh Kennedy, got outside of 50, didn't really know what he was doing. He was sort of meant to, just mark it and slow it down. He's playing on and trying to snap around his body. And
there's one snap I've never seen him kick well. That one.
Josh Kennedy.